Welcome to Advocate Today. I'm Aaron Dean. California is one step closer to approving reparation payments for Black residents. The state's reparations task force looked into the harms caused by slavery and decades of discrimination. Now the group is calling for a formal apology from the state for slavery. Their proposal would potentially provide billions of dollars in payments to descendants of slaves living in California. The task force will consider the recommendation at its next meeting before sending them on to the state legislature for approval. In Texas, the state's Attorney General is investigating an Austin hospital to see if it's providing gender-affirming care. The Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is seeking evidence of alleged potentially illegal activity at Dell Children's Medical Center, but did not elaborate. The hospital, which operates under nonprofit Catholic health systems, says that it does not provide gender-affirming procedures or hormone therapy for children. Also, Texas law does not currently ban gender-affirming care for minors, but Paxton wants to designate it as child abuse. In a statement, Paxton said across the country there are doctors and healthcare professionals who are appearing willing to sacrifice the long-term health of American children, all in service to the increasingly dangerous fad of transgender extremism. It is deeply disturbing, and there is no place for it in Texas. 16 states have now enacted laws restricting or banning gender-affirming care for minors. Advocates say that these laws are targeting many ways of LGBTQ plus life, but the power of love usually finds a way, and 21st century dating apps for queer people lives on the apps. According to the Pew Research Center, more than half of LGBTQ plus adults have used a dating site. And Tinder is reporting that 18 to 25-year-olds who identify as LGBTQ+ have doubled on the app in the last 2 years. Tinder also accounts for 1 in 3 relationships among LGBTQ+ females in America. The community is the fastest growing group on Tinder, and the brand is recognizing that. The Advocate Channel's Tracy Gilchrist spoke to Tinder's CMO about how they are creating safe spaces for LGBTQ plus users.
With all of this anti-LGBTQ plus legislation all over the country, this kind of virtual space feels like some sort of outlet and safe space for people, especially in states like Florida and Texas and Tennessee. Would you talk about some of the conversations around creating this virtual safe space even further for those people in states where they are really in harm's way?
Yeah, I think we are talking about that so much in the halls of Tinder. In fact, the Marriage Equality Act, we did an op-ed and CNN. We have worked with GLAAD and HRC for many, many years. We are even dedicating some of our ad space and turning that off to turn on messages of support, or if it's about showing up at the polls, if it is about knowing what issues are on the docket in your community. But a dating app like Tinder does provide that safe space to connect, to meet people, to be who you are. We are really upset at some of the rollbacks and the attacks we're seeing on the LGBT community around the U.S. and outside of the U.S. We have a product in the app that will pop if you are in a country or an area where it may not be safe. We will, to be an LGBTQ person, we will let you know with a pop-up.
Yeah.
So, an app like Tinder will enable you to safely connect and find community when we see that being more difficult in again in many parts of the world. I think the opportunity for me at Tinder is to continue to create those connections for people around the world. We take very seriously the opportunity within the LGBTQ community, and I'll just give you like 2 really interesting data points. An estimated 30 to 50% of heterosexual committed relationships start on an app. It's pretty significant. For the LGBTQ community, it's 70 to 80% of relationships start on an app. And that isn't that wild? It's
That's
wild.
really wild.
It's
Yes.
wild. And listen, I've been in New York City for over 22 years. So when I meet new friends or old friends, hey, how'd you meet? What, you will often hear Tinder and other
Mhm.
dating app. And so the opportunity we have is to keep driving those connections, but
Mhm.
to also continue to chip away at transphobia and homophobia, and
Mhm.
to use this app to encourage people to have the connections that they want, and to do that all around the world. So
Mhm.
it's a pretty fun job.
Yeah, that is an unbelievable stat, and I wonder, what do you attribute some of that to?
Yeah, I think, there's a couple of insights that have been really powerful for me joining this job. One is that it is not uncommon to hear from especially Gen Z that they may come out on Tinder before
Mhm.
they come out to a wider group of friends and family, and that it may be the first place where they find a sense of belonging. That is an incredible opportunity and responsibility to keep pushing
Mm.
forwards. And we're in LA and New York, where it's much easier to find community if you're LGBTQ. That is not the case in many parts of the US, most parts of the US, and certainly not most parts of the world. So the power that an app like Tinder plays in your life, when you cannot find that community easily, when it may be unsafe to be yourself publicly, or on your Instagram or on your TikTok, whatever it may be, really makes Tinder play an important role. Representation is critical. It's critical. At OkCupid, I was relentless about showing queer couples and showing all kinds of love, and we're doing that at Tinder in a very, very big way. So if you're in New York City or LA, or you're in London or Berlin or Paris, the campaign's on all over the world right now, you will see a number of queer and gay couples, and I'm incredibly proud of that.
So
And
it's called the It Starts With a Swipe
it
campaign.
starts this way.
Yeah. And would you kind of give an overview of what that looks like and what people can expect from it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we were one of the most fun parts about being in the marketing world is, how do you tell the stories of what's happening here? And what we realized is, some people are looking for something short term, but many people on Tinder are looking for something more committed. And
Mhm.
whatever it is, we want to power that. But it starts with a swipe. And also, Tracy, you probably know someone, we all have those friends who are so awesome and so great, and they want to be with someone, and you're like, just get yourself out, you're awesome, let's try to find somebody half as awesome as you, and just get out there. So it's also meant to give a little bit of that nudge to
Mhm.
start dating and start swiping, get your profile up. And in the mini stories that we created, many of those are about those first moments of meeting someone, and then on through the relationships. We have a beautiful one, and it's meeting the parents. It starts with a swipe, and it's two women, and you can tell one's really nervous. She's about to meet her girlfriend or partner's parents, and
Mhm.
showing that moment. And you could see one is, she's really nervous, and we've all been in that moment probably, where
Mhm.
you're meeting the parents for the first time.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful TV spot, which is, we call it 3-day date, and it's two women, and the start of the date goes well, which rolls into another date, which rolls into another, but it's all the course of one weekend.
Well,
And
yeah,
you
and then they get the U-Haul.
and then and then the U-Haul shows up at the end of the
I
day.
mean, I Melissa, that's how queer women date. I don't know.
Tracy, I am well aware. I am well aware. And it was so fun to have all those conversations, to say, what are those moments? What are those amazing moments when you feel the butterflies and those amazing relationship milestones. But we also had one, Gen Z is a really part of our community, although Tinder supports all ages. And it's someone who gets your For You page. And we worked with an incredible, famous makeup artist who did the Valentino Couture show. And he's got his unbelievable, makeup is not even the right word for it, it's art.
Mhm.
And his boyfriend is looking at his phone, and that moment of like, oh, they get your For You page, right? And that resonates. So we're really excited about the stories
Incredible.
we're hearing from couples as the campaign is out there alive and in the wild.
And that's all the time we have for Advocate Today. You can find us wherever you stream online, or you can go to theadvocatechannel.com. I'm Aaron Dean, and we will see you next time.